Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast with me, host Imperial Dane. Time for the... No, not the Tuesday lunch fight. No, it's the Monday novice fight, and we don't have a Tuesday lunch fight, by the way. So don't ask. I was just, trying to be funny. But apparently someone always misses the joke intentionally. And one day, I'll find you and string you from a nearby lamp post. Anyways, we shall be watching Akula and Omega Warrior. Not to be mistaken with Alpha Warrior. Fighting for the Soviet Union here, with Akula fighting for the Germans, for the Reich, for the Speerverbande Bremer versus the Soviets' 320th Rifle Division. Not the same size as the German Infantry Division, by the way. There were always, I think, about 7,000 men. I'm slightly also wondering if it's because the Soviets rather organised for supply things as well, a bit differently, so they actually weren't part of the division. But that's for some other studies. Looking at doctrines, we're seeing Spearhead, Festung Armour, and Joint Operations for Omega Warrior. Shock Rifle Frontline Tactics, Guard Rifle Combined Arms Tactics, and Mechanized Support Tactics. So there's a bit of this and that here. But back to Akula. With the Grenadiers, MG-42s on the way there, and the Pioneers heading southward, so a bit of a spread out approach here from our friends of the Reich. Whereas Omega Warrior also going for the spread out, but that's rather more what's expected from the Russians. And he's actually taking the vehicle repair facility. I mean, this is Pripyat, by the way, winter Pripyat. This is not what you usually see. I mean, most players will sort of go, well, I don't actually have vehicles within the first, 5 to 10 minutes. I don't really feel like I need a vehicle repair facility. I know I'm just being silly here, but, I might want to secure some of the resource points first. And again, that's what I might, consider something a bit more novice. I mean, it's fair enough, but, just my thought in particular, since it's not really a connecting point at all. I mean, it doesn't even help you connect to something. You actually need this point for that, so... In a sense, it's a bit of an odd choice to go for this point first, before you go for anything else. Oh, hang on. I'd forgotten to turn up the sound again. I had been playing with a friend, and had to turn down the game volume so I can actually listen to him. My sincerest apologies for forgetting to turn it up again. Pioneers here versus Combat Engineers. Troops here setting out, doing nothing. Again, one of those little novice lapses in attention. Happens. But generally, it's something most people should try and work their way out of. It's not really good. German player, though, continues onwards. 2 Grenadiers now. MG-42, second MG-42 on the way. Nice bit of a mix of the build there. Can fight aggressively, can fight defensively, can handle, infantry reasonably well, if positioned reasonably well. Germans pushing up in the south. The Combat Engineers did not succeed in their fight against the Pioniere. Continued northern push. Conscripts pulling in to push up the centre here as well. Noting one MD-42 has been set up here in the watchtower. Not unusual to see that. Bunch of gentlemen, all the rest up in the watchtower. Getting a bit cramped in here, isn't it, Heinz? Oh, shut up, or would you rather be out in the snow? 9, actually not, Fritz. I think I preferred up here. But I sincerely hope that is a bayonet in your pocket. And said you are not happy to see me. Anyways, fighting going up here. Grenadiers versus conscripts. Grenadiers bunching up here behind the tree. Oh, well, sort in front of a tree again. Remember, cover is directional, so need to be behind the tree for it to work. There is no nature spirit here that'll protect you, and certainly not the Germans anyways. Grenadier squad here needs to retreat, and already here things are going a bit south for Akula and his Grenadier. Another Molotov. Well done there. Soviets slowly advancing. In the meantime, we are seeing the support weapon company going up for Omega Warrior. Sounds like something out of an 80s movie. Conscripts here being engaged, and my pardons if I sound a bit funny, I've got a cold, which seems to be getting increasingly worse. So my pardons there. Hopefully I won't actually get so sick I will be able to cast. That would make me actually a bit sad. But there we go, rushing the MG-42, and already here again, I mean, you need to be careful about units in buildings. If they don't have anything covering them, anything to actually form a front line, this can happen. We do see another MG-42 moving in, going to flank, but this one just needs to get the devil out of there. Akula, though, sadly, not quite having the luck. So that's a bit unfortunate there. And there we go, the MG-42, in fact, is lost to the fires of Comrade Stalin. 3 Grenadiers, 2 MG42s. It's actually a pretty heavy tier 1 we're seeing from Akula. And conscripts make a rush there for the MG42. The cheeky little bastard. South being largely secured here by the Germans. Well done there, Akula. But MG42 has been taken away. Taking up, going on. MG42 like to will make it out of there. Conscript squad trying a flank. Realised they were not actually very well flanking. In fact, they were just slightly differently placed than the other guys who were being shot at previously. This Grenadier squad needs to get moving. We're noting quite a few units here for Mr. Omega Warrior, who so far is not utilising his support weapon company. Perhaps he feels with the MG42 he doesn't need as much. Who knows? Akula, though, on the other hand, is enjoying the advantage when it comes to the victory points. So, huzzah. We can say that. He's also got plenty of munitions, so he might want to consider actually upgrading some of his Grenadiers with a lightened machine gun gewehr. In fact, just as I mention it, it happens. Isn't that lovely?
We have secured additional territory.
Lots of troops in need of reinforcements. We're actually seeing a mortar arriving. It's the 82mm Warrior. Mortar, not the Warrior. A Warrior of only 82mm would be a bit unfit for fighting. Unless they were fighting hobbits. The Grenadiers hunting down the combat engineers here. Omega Warrior might consider doing something before they get shot down. Pioneers back at base. They could build up a light mechanized company. Not a lot happening here. Grenadiers realizing they're not doing too well here against the flamethrower. Several men bursting into flames in a manner most excruciatingly hot. Four squads of conscripts, an MG42 and a mortar and some combat engineers. Nice little force here Omega Warrior has composed for himself. Light mechanized company on the way. Could he perhaps try go for a Flammenwerfer half-track? No, we are seeing scout cars and Panzergrenadiere instead. The Sperrverbande quickly growing as troops are being rounded up and thrust into things. I mean, that was usually the purpose of a Sperrverbande. It was essentially a defensive Kampfgruppe, usually formed out of whatever was nearby, and usually would be able to, in those cases, basically be able to drag in any kind of soldier in the area it was actually operating in. That was not very uncommon combat procedure. Basically, even if you're on leave, you were sort of constantly walking by the area that was happening in, you would be suddenly finding yourself assigned to that unit and at the front line. So, little fun fact there. This is not something you actually hear a lot about, but you know, it actually happened. And that was also one of the more flexible parts of the German army. It rather had a tendency of quickly being able to organise some sort of unit. Though generally, of course, they never quite were as effective as a proper, you know, divisional or company unit, since they didn't quite have the same cohesion. MG42 quickly stepping to stop the flanking assault here from Akula's Grenadiers. Both upgraded light machine guns. Rifle grenade going off here. Grenadiers need to be careful. MG42 doing what they can. Mortar finding away. Although the mortar needs to get into some heat, it's about to freeze to death. And we also seen the scout car has been upgraded with the auto cannon, but it's, you know, hanging about there without doing much. MG42 getting Molotov, not looking good. Grenadiers being caught here in the bridge. Akula needs to be seriously careful. In particular with the Grenadiers this close, and again, there is some mortar nearby. Oh, and he lost the Grenadier squad. Again, unit preservation, be careful, and again, you know, be careful about MG42s, no matter who you are. Grenadiers here just need to retreat. They're freezing to death, by the way. Oksuk. He might lose this one on the retreat, in fact, because, again, he was too slow. Again, you need to be able to, you know, again, something to learn as novices, you know, try to be able to read the situation, know when to retreat, know when to, you know, hold your ground. And if you're in doubt, and there's combat going on, things are not looking good, just retreat. Well, looks like a conscript squad actually got wiped out here by the mortar. Or the MG42, either way. Also note, again, that's also close to freezing to death, so I mean, again, you know, be careful with the weather. But lots of Panzergrenadier here arriving for Akula with their Sturmgewehrs. Of course, we have the leichte Panzerspähwagen. shock troopers arriving for Omega Warrior. Which rather could mean he's only going for shock rifle tactics. I don't think he had any of the other shock doctrines. And then conscripts, more conscripts besides the shock troopers, who in actuality were actually assault engineers. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, these are actually engineers with body armor and all that, usually organised into independent battalions and attached wherever they were needed. So, little fun fact there. Also, fun fact: generally, most pioneers in a German infantry division, or for most other cases, were actually assault engineers as well. They're less well armored, but not less dangerous. So, another fun fact there. There were, of course, pioneers that were not really fit for combat, but those generally tend to be more specific, rear line pioneer units. Generally, anyone attached to a division usually tend to be the combat-like, and particularly the assault type. They're a bit unsure about some parts of it, if they were so fully specifically assault-oriented. Either way, shock troopers leading the way here. Grenadiers at the front line, they need to get away. You don't charge into guys with submachine guns when you've got rifles. I'm sorry, Akula, but that's just not cricket. Bomb grenade going off against shock troopers. Grenade being exchanged. Grenadiers just need to retreat. Come on, Akula. Rückzug. And meanwhile, conscript shock troopers moving up here. Panzer Grenadiers might want to consider also getting out of this. Is not looking good. Again, no, low health, low numbers.
How do you like that?
Dead. That really wasn't a good engagement. And note, what did he lose? Only 2 shock troops. I mean, they are extremely tough due to their body armor. Although, in actuality, that body armor really only could stop 9mm pistol bullets. Or for that matter, MP40 bullets. A full rifle bullet wouldn't necessarily have that much trouble with it. Scout car, though, rolling up, quickly making some work out of here. The shock troopers with its auto cannon and machine gun, though needs to be careful of the conscripts. Omega Warrior, in this case, already prepared. Anti-tank grenades at the ready. Good job there, Omega Warrior. Thinking ahead saves lives. Not the enemies, though. Your own lives. Generally, when you're playing, you don't want your opponent to be able to save lives. That's counterproductive. German players still holding on to the centre and most of the victory points. That is something that's going to be a bit of a pressure point here for Omega Warrior. Scout coming in. In this case, Akula got too cocky again. He seems to be a bit too reckless, constantly charging in units without quite concern for their well-being or safety. Now losing a scout car as well. A bit unfortunate. Nearby squad of Panzer Grenadiers doing nothing, just standing out here enjoying the heat. And possibly feigning they can't hear Akula's orders. Nein, we are in a tunnel. We can't hear you. Are you saying we should retreat to Berlin? Please repeat over.
Yes, comrade.
Anyway, switching a move on here for the mechanized armor company. Tanks could have been nice, moving a more speedy breakthrough, but looks like Omega Warriors getting ready for the longer haul, the longer fight. And meanwhile, we are seeing the support armor corps going up, but we're also noting here that Akula has actually lost an awful lot. He's lost several infantry squads, MG42s, and what not. And now his MG42 is going to get flanked, and a Molotov lobbed onto the bridge. Again, you really should be careful about leaving an MG42 unattended like this. As you might note, it's not really going well. In particular, the screams of the MG gunner should be an indicator of that it's not really going well. We are seeing a Panzerkampfwagen 4 arriving, ascended to the Sperrverbande. Usually not an awful lot of tanks would be sort of dispatched to those, though. But opening up the conscripts, nice. Oh! The anti-tank grenade missed? That's a first. Yuri! How could you miss that? It's so big! I don't know! I was always told I threw like a sissy! I never thought it'd be true! Anyways, Panzer IV rolling up here, bold. Also upgrading the machine guns, that's actually quite good. It actually does make it considerably more effective against infantry, but again, be careful, don't let the infantry get too close. Don't let it get too close. Vorsicht, Akula. And we are seeing a field gun down the way here for Omega Warrior. Perhaps realising he needs something, although he could get an SU-85 now as well. And there got another conscript squad flanking in again. No support for the Panzer, not really doing well. Conscripts, though, are getting absolutely blasted. The MGs and the high explosive shells are doing their part. least I hope so. Fuel cache now going up, so clearly Akula's planning something in the longer run. Nice to see a fuel cache here in the novice fight of the Mondays. Of course, also note, fresh content here that's going to be coming up tomorrow will be shown to later today. So be sure to check out Twitch. I will be posting links to Facebook, Twitter, and hopefully also my YouTube feed, so you can sort of be, ready to watch it. And who knows, I might even be asked upon to fight another fight against the evil developers. I mean the great Relic developers. Yes. Anyways, field gun up here. Also, as a good rule of thumb, if you spot a field gun, don't stop up in front of it. Move. In this case, moving behind it with the machine guns is actually quite a good idea. And just note what the kind of damage it does. The coaxial and the pintle-mounted machine guns there. So well done there, Mr. Akula. And of course, you note here that Omega Warrior's field gun is in a bit of trouble. But at the same time, Akula should be ready to pull it back, since, at this rate, it's going to a bit of an exposed position. Keep moving, Akula. There we go, there we go. Got it, got it. Get away, get back, get repaired, get reinforced. And a flak panzer rolling up the Ostwind. No, don't get too overconfident. In particular, in a blizzard, you really want your panzers to be pulled back, since they are pretty much blind in a blizzard. So be careful about that. And this here, I feel, is actually a bit of a mistake being committed by Akula. Again, he can't really see anything, yet he's continuing ahead, risking getting knocked out with an anti-tank grenade and something else appearing to knock it out. In this case, there's actually an H-85 on the way. So this is actually a pretty bad idea by Akula. Tactically, it doesn't really make much sense to rush a tank into a blizzard. So, remember that when you're playing. If you've got a tank in a blizzard, pull it back to other troops. Have something in front of it to act as spotters. Don't rush it into the, darkness like this. Now we do see some smoke going up, but that again is going to be a bit too late. There's no infantry nearby to support, no packs. We do see the Ostwind moving up, but again, a bit problematic. Going to use it apparently to flank the H-85. There you go, Panzer IV was lost, tragically and senselessly. That could have definitely been handled better there by Akula. That was pretty much his own damn bloody fault. I know some people like to say, it's all the S-85s, but, you really could make a lot better if you don't rush just into the blind. Anyways, he needs to pop smoke very soon to ensure the H-85 can't stop him. Smoke, Nebel. Oh, the H-85 blew up a tree instead. Damn those fascist trees. Field gun recruit, come on, smoke. Get out of there. Also, we take this point. Victory points are continuing taken down. Troops hanging about in the north. Troops freezing to death. Never good. Building a lot of fuel caches, so could it be he's planning something with his doctrine? Though again, we really haven't seen much. They could either be festering armor or spearhead, since both of them have panzer division. I don't think we've seen anything else that could indicate it.
Blizzard is passing. Normal weather is returning.
But the Panzer IV actually saw a lot of, different designs based on the chassis. There was the Panzer itself, there was the Ostwind. There were basically three types of flak panzer: Möbelwagen, Wirbelwind, Ostwind. As you can sort of hint, there's a theme of wind in it. That was one of them. There was also the Jagdpanzers. That was another. There was Sturmpanzer, another. Of course, we had sort of the Hommel Nashorn, which was sort of Panzer III, Panzer IV sort of base chassis. So there were actually quite a few sort of designs based on it. They should have rolling ahead. He's in the barrages, getting close to an IS-2, although he's going to need a bunch of fuel for it. And he actually doesn't quite control some of the fuel points. In fact, he hasn't for some time. A third fuel cache up. Now, this is actually incredibly dangerous for Akula, and you might be asking me, why is that, Dane? Because he's in a very short amount of time expending 600 manpower only in fuel points. He's not doing it to reinforce his front line. And remember, how many troops does Akula otherwise have? He's got 3 infantry squads and an Ostwind. Compare that to what Omega Warrior has, and you should be able to see that's actually something not quite right. I mean, it's beginning to get increasingly waiting for some sort of big tank, but at the same time, with that big tank's going to end up being isolated with no support, it's not really going to be able to do much. So that is something that should be remembered. You can't, I mean, it's great with fuel caches and all that, but don't build too many in too short succession right away. You will end up crippling yourself. Panzer is in range of trouble, needs to retreat. Come on, Akula! Oh, there we go. Austin going rushed ahead there. And it also seems like, I mean, Omega Warrior apparently has, you know, a much more worried idea of his opponent because he's not moving ahead. There's nothing here stopping him, and for that matter, Akula hasn't even bothered recruiting his MD42, which I would also describe as a bit of a flaw, but you know, he could easily been pushing up here, taking most of the map. Instead, he's actually allowing victory points just to drain out. So in that sense, you know, Akula needs to work, Omega Warrior needs to sort of work on the idea, you know, that he might have actually done enough damage to allow to securely advance. But, time for the mid-game analysis. We also see if any fragmentation bomb was used. Nasty work that. But that means, of course, Spearhead Doctrine. And it also gives him a clear idea what he's going for. He's going for the Tiger tank. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, the Tiger. And he's also got a ridiculous amount of ammunition, so he could easily get off a few fragmentation bombs if he wants. And of course, again, he shouldn't have gone for that many fuel caches. I think that's a bit excessive. But I suppose if he's going to get the Tiger tank, he's going to need to keep it properly supported. He's going to need to keep the Osprey up at the flank, some infantry as well. And the others are going to need to launch one hell of a coordinated assault up through the centre and sort of weave about with the SU-85, hopefully catch it in some manner in particular, because he's using focus sight on it, and that could definitely be the chance for Akula to actually knock it out using his Tiger, because it's going to be so slow the Tiger will actually be able to move up easily and knock it out. But at the same time, of course, that means he doesn't feed it veterancy using the SU-85 in a pretty blinkered assault. Otherwise, again, he needs to get together his preservation, he needs to recruit the MG, and he needs to begin mining. Around here would be good, and around here would also be good. Otherwise, I mean, if he can just hold around this point, at the very least, he's going to win. For Omega Warrior, he's going to need to push hard in the south. He's going to need to get some tanks, and IS-2 perhaps would be beneficial, or perhaps just a mission to 6s to provide some more, you know, backup firepower. Otherwise, you're going to just try to extend the front lines as much as possible. And thus, I mean, the current force that Akula has is so small. I mean, if he can do that, he can pretty much force Akula to extend and easily be able to break through. And ultimately, he should prioritize towards getting the center after having, you know, stretched out the front line severely. So that is something, you know, to keep in mind here. And let us return to the fight.
Enemy forces are securing our territory. Loaded and ready.
Grenadiers reporting objective captured.
Otherwise, again, another heads up. After tomorrow, that is Wednesday, because the patch will be up by the night while I'm sleeping. Though, you know, feel free to send in some replays, you know, in that small time period right after the next patch, because, you know, all of the previous patch replays will be useless. I can't use them, so of course any new ones, in particular if they're using even new commanders, new stuff, are going to be really appreciated. So again, I, you know, just want to end up in a situation where, you know, I only got 1 or 2 replays and they're pretty much all rubbish, you know. Send in as many as possible. The better they are, the better that is. And now we do see the Tiger arriving. Osman here in a bit of trouble. And right here again, he, you know, rushed in his Osman into the darkness without any idea. And there we go, veterans on for the SU-85. He pretty much just ended up feeding it.
Our panzer forces have been reduced by 1.
So that was a pretty bad idea from Akula. Sadly.
Yes.
He could consider upgrading some of his panzer grenades, but then again I might not. Again, he should have something to support the Tiger. Tiger moving ahead. Point down south being secured. Upgrade the Tiger with the machine gun. Again, you generally always get something out upgrading with the pintle mounted machine gun.
Our territory.
And already here, I mean, he rather heard what was going on, and all he could see, Tiger needs to pull back. Don't park the Tiger in front of the enemy's guns, please, Akula. Fragmentation bombing run on the MG, not on, say, the SU-85 and the field gun. That was a bit of a sad idea there. No. Oh dear. He could actually have been moving closer. Right here, I mean, Akula obviously isn't really thinking ahead. Now he actually needs to pull back his Tiger, get it repaired. And he's also suffering other losses. Oh dear. Panzer is going down. Again, he seems to also keep underestimating the shock troopers. Not really good either. Oh yeah, he can pull it back to here to the repair points. That's actually something I forgot. My fault. Mine's going up there. I figured already here. Omega Warrior seems to have figured out what he's going to do. And of course, there's also the bridge. But you know, had he actually called in the fragmentation bombing around here, he probably could have stopped the field gun and stunned the H-35, allowing him to close in. And the H-35 is now actually getting extremely close to Veteran T2. MD-42 forced away for some incendiary barrages. Troops standing around here doing nothing, not really good on either side, although he's taking a point, so I suppose that's more forgivable. But again, barely any units left for the Germans. Nasty losses, senseless losses, I'm afraid to report. And I have this bad feeling the Tiger's going to be one of them. Mortar blasting away. Grenadiers coming into contact with the conscripts, and Tiger looks like he's going to hunt down the shock troopers. That's... There we go, shock trooper dead. Fragmentation bombing against conscripts. Oh! Omega Warrior wasn't paying attention, and there we go, fragmentation. Oh! And the shock troopers went down. That's all of a sudden 2 squads gone. Now there's a lot of troops climbed up here. And if he could land a good fragmentation bombing run here, he might actually be able to salvage a victory out of this. If he can land one good fragmentation bombing run, if Omega Warrior makes a mistake of actually climbing up his troops too much, and again, that's something he should be aware of now that he's seen it. Again, not... Oh! IS-2 on the way. Never mind then. The IS-2, the Josef Stalin 2. There was an IS-1. Actually had an 85mm gun, I believe. But that was actually scrapped in favour of the IS-2. And there was actually some decision, you know, should it be an IS-2 with a 100mm gun that was actually really good against tanks, or when they go for something a bit more general purpose, also going to be less effective against tanks, and they actually went with the 120mm gun, which was considerably less effective against tanks. So, little fun fact there. Again, the IS-2 was not necessarily directed with mind in actually sort of really fighting tanks. It was actually sort of a more overall breaking through front lines, shooting up stuff tank. Tiger needs to be careful. There we go. H-85 flanking. Tiger needs to deal with it. Needs to turn its frontal armor. Frontal armor. And there we go. Veteran T2. This is bad. At the same time, Blizzard sets in. No idea what's calling an incendiary barrage. IS-2 nearby. Not dealing good here between the Tiger and the H-85. Popping smoke. Need to get out of there then. But again, I mean, he should be able to knock out that H-85 much earlier. But again, pull back here. Pull back. Reverse towards the repair point. Looks like that's happening. At least he's doing something to keep the Tiger alive, but he's also flooding a lot of resources, and I'm getting the slightly worried impression he might try with another Tiger and that way batter his way through. But at the very least, Akula is actually hanging on, although it rather seems to be for dear life. And we see here that Omega Warrior is actually getting a bit nervous. He seems to be a much more cautious in approach. We also note that the DHK 12.7mm machine gun has been added to the IS-2. More or less the same as the 50 caliber of the Americans, but I think there was actually some slight differences. I think this one had a slightly longer range or something. About a minute, then he can get another Tiger, but at the same time this one is a bit, you know, on its own. IS-2 advances. First shot bounces off. IS-2, H-85 also opening up. Tiger is in trouble. Popping smoke again, but that's not going to help. The IS-2 will be able to spot for the H-85. And that looks to be the end of the Tiger. Nope, both shots actually managed to bounce off by some sheer miracle. Again. Wow. I really can't believe what I'm just seeing right now. For some reason the front armor barely bounced a shot, yet for some reason the arse seems to be made out of the finest titanium. And then it actually fell apart. I'm likely going to imagine another Tiger being called in.
You have a Tiger to deploy.
H-85 in a barely standing version. If the Tiger can get, that could be it. And again, fragmentation bombs.
We are suffering losses. forces.
Another squad gone.
Conditions is freezing. The blizzard is a reflection of your command capabilities.
There we go, nice clumped up units. Fragmentation bombing run. And looks like Omega Warriors are paying attention. Oh, that didn't do as much as it could have been hoped to do. Tiger on the move, Grenadiers on the run.
Enemy forces are securing our territory. The squad is succumbing to the
A
cold.
squad lost to the cold. Never good news, that. Just going to speed this up a wee bit.
Supply are disrupted.
Close to getting that S-35, but not quite succeeding.
Fragmentation bombs. Awaiting orders.
Looks like he's trying to hunt down the IS-2.
Heavy pencil under attack.
And there we go, mine went off. Good job there from Omega Warrior actually mining up some stuff. Wunderbar. Unless you're the Germans, of course, in which case anything but that.
This is a nice spot up there.
And now the Tigers are... Oh, there we go, recruiting the field gun, although... Very close to sinking into the water, but that Tiger's definitely gone. Another fragmentation bomber, and going to use it on the IS-2 to stun it.
Attempting to steal our sector.
Now they just need to somehow clear it up. Oh, there we go. Crew shocked. Need to clear up the field gun. Need to clear up the field gun first.
Have arrived.
Panzerfaust the IS-2 from the rear. Incendiary barrels going off. Come on, Panzerfaust, Panzerfaust. There we go. Grenadiers need to retreat now. And Pioneers need to repair the Tiger tank.
Ready for orders.
I think you should try basically calling in a Stugnagel support with some extra firepower. Otherwise I don't think he's going to be able to stand a chance. But basically in a fight between an IS-2 and a Tiger tank, the advantage for the Tiger at least would be, if it had any, would basically be generally the more experienced crews, better optics, and the higher rate of fire.
Has arrived.
I mean, the IS-2 would have the advantage in better armour and, of course, better firepower. On the other hand, they generally tend not to be that much experienced. Although, of course, I mean, not every Tiger, in particular by 1944 and 45, were, you know, veterans of the war. Some were pretty much also more newer recruits.
Pioneers
Still,
ready for assignment.
generally you did tend to find that the Tiger crews were a lot more experienced. So, little fun fact there. Time to pop back to Omega Warrior. S-35 fully repaired, good job there. Speeding things up a bit again. Another fragmentation bombing run. Didn't quite achieve much. Ooh, flanking the Tiger. Tiger in severe troubles. And there we go, Veterans of 3. And so only Veterans of 3, S-85 is a beast in its own right. And incendiary barrels to ensure the Tiger doesn't... There we go, that's pretty much game over. And there we go, game over, a loss for the Germans, victory for the Soviet Union. Bit of brutality, but also, you know, problems again, you know, with the usual unit preservation. Sometimes, you know, just make mistakes, you know, not realizing the power of shock troops. Not really good. Flooding a lot of munitions that could have been expended towards mines, for example, you know, not really good either. And of course, the sort of huge excessive move towards fuel caches a bit too early on. Not really good in the long term or the short term, and it probably could have been used for frontline units as well. But overall, I mean, they were sort of both decently aggressive, but again, there were mistakes made. And certainly, I mean, Akula made some of the bigger ones, in particular when it came to, you know, sometimes he suddenly lose courage, you know, when he probably shouldn't have. You know, he used his fragmentation bombs at the wrong times as well. So, I mean, there were some things he could have coordinated better, and he definitely could have been making a lot better use of his doctrine overall. I mean, he went for spearhead, but He neglected the mortar half-track, for example, which could have definitely aided him in certain cases as well. And of course, he had a nasty habit of leaving his machine guns in exposed and unintended positions, which allowed the Soviet player to actually gain one, and that probably gave Omega Warrior early on a huge advantage. A huge one there, and that could in fact have led directly to the downfall of Akula. So, there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match. Hope you learned a thing or two from it. If you did, why not subscribe, tell your friends. If you didn't, well, why not replay it and provide some feedback in the comments. I love feedback. This is Imperial Dane saying cheers.